Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to a lonely lighthouse off the steaming jungle coast of French Guiana and a nightmare world of terror and violence, as George Toulouse describes it in his hair-raising tale, Three Skeleton Key.
Picture this place. A gray, tapering cylinder, welded by iron rods and concrete to the key itself. A bare, black rock, 150 feet long, maybe 40 wide. That's at low tide. At high tide, just the light, rising 110 feet straight up out of the ocean. And all about it, the churning water. Gray-green, scum-dappled, warm as soup, and swarming with gigantic bat-like devilfish, great violet schools of Portuguese man-o-war, and, yes, sharks, the big ones, the 15-footers. And as if this wasn't enough, there was a hot, dank, rotten-smelling wind that came at us day and night off the jungle swamps of the mainland. A wind that smelled like death. Set in the base of the light was a watertight bronze door. And in you went, and up. Yes, up, and round, past the tanks of oil and the coils of rope, cases of wicks, racks of lanterns, sacks of spuds, and cartons and cans, and up, round and round. Over the light storeroom was the food storeroom, and over the food storeroom was the bunk room where the three of us slept, and over the bunk room was the living and cooking room, and over the living and cooking room was the light. She was a beauty, balanced like a ballerina on the glistening steel axle of her rotary mechanism. At night, you'd lie there on the stone deck of the gallery with the light revolving smoothly and quietly over your head, easing her bright white eye 360 degrees around the horizon. You'd lie there watching to see that the feeders kept working, that everything ran right. And it wouldn't be bad. The other two fellows snoring in their sacks 2 levels down. You'd smoke your pipe to kill the stink of the wind, and it wouldn't be bad. About those other two, Louis and Auguste, what a pair. Louis, he was head man, was a big fellow from the Basque country, black beard, little hard black eyes, and a pair of arms that, I tell you, those arms were as big around as my legs. Yes, head man he was, and what word he let go was law. Silent fellow, and although I spent my first 2 weeks trying to strike up a real conversation, the most I could ever get out of him was...
I took up this profession because I don't like people. They talk too much. It's quiet work, light tending. Let's keep it that way. You're getting to be as bad as Auguste. I thought maybe for once they'd send me somebody
that was
who would
Louis.
keep his mouth.
And when he accused me of becoming like Auguste, I quieted down, because Auguste was the talkingest man I've ever met. The talkingest and the ugliest. He was hunchbacked, stood 4 feet high, had red hair and big blue eyes. It seems he'd been an actor in Paris.
Over 200 different productions, dear boy, at the Grand Guignol. Oh, but it was monstrous, horrible. The way we used to scare the audience, I was hated. Yes, they used to throw things and hiss and bare their teeth at me. Finally, it got too bad. I couldn't stand it any longer. I gave up the theater. My nerves, you understand, yes, gave it up completely. I really did. I couldn't.
It all started one morning at 2:30. I was on watch, lying on the cool stone deck, pulling on my pipe, staring out at the blackness, the phosphorescent combers and the big yellow stars, when, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed something show up for a second, something the light had touched, far off. I waited for her to come around again, and when she did, there it was. A three-master, a big one, about a half-mile off, and coming down out of the north-northwest, coming straight for us. You must understand, our light was where it was for a very good reason. Dangerous submerged reefs surrounded us, and ships kept clear. But this one, this sailing vessel, was coming straight on. I went over to the gallery door and yelled down.
Louis! What is it?
Ship! Headed for the reefs! I had the glasses out now. I couldn't read her name, but I could see her quite plainly. All sails set, the foam creaming away under her bow, her beautiful lines. A Dutch ship, I guessed her. Why didn't she turn? Every time it passed, our light hit her with the glare of day.
Ship? Where?
North-northwest. The light will touch her in a moment.
Oh, can't she see us?
Look at her. She just keeps coming on.
The square heads.
What is it?
Watch. North-northwest.
Ah. I know what it is.
What?
The Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman. We did a play about her. What a performance. You ghastly galleon, hag-ridden, curse-driven, must-on...
shut up, will you? She's luffing.
Yes.
It's a sloppy way to come about. She's derelict, that's it.
Derelict?
Abandoned. Crew left her for some reason or another. But instead of sinking, she's gone on, running before every wind.
She'll not run long. Not with these reefs to break her up.
A beautiful ship. Now, why would men leave a beautiful ship like that?
She didn't ram us, although we all expected it. But as we waited for the crash, she luffed again, caught some odd gust, and went about. We watched her the rest of those black hours, heeling and rocking, pushed and pulled by every stray wind, every freak current. Watched her until the dawn came, till the sea turned from black to pearly gray. And on she came again, heading for us. We all had our glasses trained on her now.
August, you can kill the light.
Right, Chief.
She doesn't look so good by daylight. Think she'll ground this time? I say, do you think she'll ground this time?
This is impossible. Absolutely impossible.
What?
Here, take my glasses. They're better than yours.
All right. What is it, I had to focus. And then my breath froze in my throat. The decks were swarming with a dark brown carpet that looked like a gigantic fungus, but undulating. And on the masts and yards, the guys and all, were hundreds, no thousands, no millions. I don't know. An inestimable number of tremendous rats.
See them?
Yes, I see them.
Now we know why she's derelict.
Yes, now we know.
What are you two doing? Here, give me a look.
Yes, give him the glasses. Take a good look, chatterbox. Give you something to talk about.
She's still heading for us.
Yes.
If she's going to turn, she'd better turn soon.
Suppose she doesn't.
You mean suppose she piles up on the quay?
It's low tide.
Yes, it is.
Well, where's all the conversation, August? Huh? Here, you want the glasses again? You want another look?
No.
She's still coming on.
Go away!
Turn, will you? Turn, I say! I pray you turn. Cracked up.
The rats! Look, on the water, like a carpet.
They're swimming.
Sure, they're swimming. Those are ship's rats.
But they're swimming for the rocks.
The door below, it's open.
Well, come on.
And down we went, racing down the stone stairs, taking them 3 and 4 at a time. Scared? You bet we were scared.
August, you get the windows. Maybe they can climb. We don't know.
Right, Chief. But hurry, hurry.
Look. You see them?
No. Oh, yes, I do. Up at the other end of the rock.
Look at them.
Millions.
Yeah, they smell us. Here they come. Oh, close the door.
I can't. Stop.
Here, let me.
Move, you.
Yeah.
Made it.
Holy, that was close.
One got in. Look, there.
Well, get him. Watch it. Catch him. What a brute.
He was as big as a tomcat, bigger. And his eyes were wild and red, his teeth long and sharp and yellow. He went for us, starving, ravenous. And we fought him, fought that one rat all over the room. It was, oh, believe me, I don't exaggerate. It was like fighting a panther.
Yeah, I got it.
We'd better get aloft.
Yeah.
As we ran up the winding staircase, we passed the tiny windows of the various levels, and at every one was a thick, wriggling, screaming curtain of brown fur. I was ahead of Louis, and I dreaded each successive level. Suppose they had found a way in.
Look at them. Oh, will you look at them?
It's a nightmare.
Will you look at them?
The air of the gallery was thick and fetid with the stink of them. The light was dim, brown, filtered through the crawling mass that swarmed over the glass, all about us. We couldn't see the sky. Nothing. Nothing but them. Their red eyes, their claws, their wriggling, hairy snouts, and their teeth. The rats. They screamed and howled and threw themselves against the glass. They were starving. And we 3, we stood very quietly. Oh, very, very quietly. In the center of the glass room, under our beautiful light. And we waited.
What can we do? What can we do, Chief?
Take it easy. Take it easy.
I can't. Just can't.
It won't do any good to... It won't do any good to stand here and shake.
That's right.
Go away. Go away, do you hear me? Go away this instant.
They won't go away. Not until...
Finish it, Chief. Not until... What?
Not until they've been fed.
You can take just so much horror, and then you get used to it. And they were interesting to watch, you know. They couldn't understand the glass. They could see us, and they could rush at us. But that thin, invisible barrier held them off, stopped them. From time to time, we caught a glimpse of the rocks below. More rats down there, swarming brown velvet in the bright tropical sunlight. And then the tide began to rise. If only it had drowned some of them.
Ship's rats don't drown. No, sir. You can't drown one of them. They're all climbing up the tower.
This bunch around us is getting thicker.
Say, what's the time?
6:15.
You've got first watch, Sean.
Right.
Wake me at 10.
I will.
Come along, August.
It was getting dark. One side of the room was lit a soft, filtered red. Sunset through the rats. Oh, very pretty. I set the wicks, checked my fuel, and then lit the lamp. It caught them, lit them in their gigantic wriggling web of pale, hairless bellies, twitching red tails, bright eyes. And then I started the rotary motor. The light drove them mad. As she swung slowly and smoothly about, she blinded them in the fierce, stabbing bar of light, moving continually about, ever turning, never touching, ever moving around and around. And they, twitching and shuddering, eyes flaming when they were struck by the light, the bright light moving. And behind, on the dark side of the room, so close, I dared not turn my back. But you can't help turning your back when you're in a room made of glass. On the dark side of the room, you couldn't see them, but only their eyes. Thousands of points of blank red light, blinking and twinkling like the stars of hell. And when I came up into the gallery early the next morning, there stood Auguste, his back to me. He was bowing to the rats, waving his arms and making a speech.
Dear audience, I am going to play once again that magnificent role which made me the toast of the Paris theater. Prelotti, the evil genius of the medieval underworld. I am he who did guide the dark soul of Marechal into the nether
I stood
path.
staring at him, horror-struck. But he didn't notice me. The man had gone mad. He kept turning, telling his stories to all the rats, leaving no one out. Auguste!
Another one, a late comer. Take a seat on the iron, dear patron.
Stop it.
Gingeray, the blood-stained monster, was my partner in iniquity.
He went on, bowing and scraping to the rats, his big blue eyes rolling and winking, his wild red hair waving about him. I grabbed him by the arms and slapped his face. He looked at me like a child, and then his face screwed up. He looked as though he were about to cry. Go below. Go on.
Oh, very well, then. Later, my dear audience, later. Matinee today.
Sure, he was crazy. But I guess we all were. A few hours later, he came back up and caught Louis and me teasing the rats. Yes, sounds horrible. It was fun. We would get right up against the glass and make faces at them. It drove them crazy. They would scratch away, trying to get at our eyes. Louis was even cuter about it. He'd pull a piece of bread out of his pocket and press it against the glass. The rats would scramble into a solid ball, biting each other, clustering like grapes. From time to time, a whole knot of them would slip and fall the 110 feet to the surf below.
Look at the sharks.
They're eating them.
Those sharks are our friends. Here, I'll get another bunch together. Here, my beauties. That's it. Pile up. Kill each other, huh? There they go.
Auguste joined in, too. Very ingenious, Auguste. He learned that if he spread-eagled himself against the glass, they'd bunch and bundle against his figure. Then he'd leap back.
Look, my portrait in rats.
It went on all day. And then I was lying in bed. It was about midnight. I was very tired, and I was just beginning to fall off to sleep when I became conscious of a new sound. I couldn't figure it at first. I got up, lit the lamp, and went to the window. Even as I looked out, I saw one of the panes begin to sag in. They had eaten the wood away. Louis, come quick!
What? What is it?
They found a way in! I held the glass with my hand. Now they were all going crazy, and assured of the success of this maneuver, were all nibbling away at the wood. Louis ran below and then returned with a large sheet of tin. We spread it against the window and hammered it into place. Even as we did so, we felt the heavy bodies thudding against the other side as the window gave way.
There. That ought to hold. If it doesn't, we're done for.
Rats can't eat tin.
No, they can't. But what was that?
I don't know.
Came from below.
The storeroom window.
They're in. They're swarming up the stairs.
Drop the trap. Right.
Sheriff.
What? Two of them got in.
Let's go after them.
We didn't have to go after them. They came at us. I leaped to one side and grabbed a marlin spike, swung, and smashed one in midair.
No!
I whirled to see Louis with the other. It had ripped his hand open and the blood was pouring out. He held his hand aloft and kicked at the snarling rat. I stepped and swung and got him.
Oh, my hand. He got my hand.
That's both of them, Louis. I'll get you something to tie that up.
Blood. Look at it. My blood. I'm bleeding.
Don't worry about it, Louis. Here. I'll wind this kerchief around it. It'll be okay.
Blood.
There. That's not bad. Just the flesh. And then I became conscious of a new sound. They were gnawing their way through the wooden trapdoor. I watched the wood, fascinated. And even as I did, it began to give way. And a bristling, whiskery nose showed through. Louis, you've got to go up! The next level was the living quarters and kitchen. I slammed the trap there, but it too was wood.
Oh, my blood. What are we going to do?
I don't know. They'll be through this one in a minute.
To the gallery. The trap door in the gallery is metal.
Good. Come on! We made it. We lay across the trapdoor, exhausted, while below us the rats took over the entire tower. I could hear them howling and fighting over our food supply, our water, our leather. And all about us, the others screamed and glared in at us, swayed in a tangled mass, hypnotized by the ever-turning light. By morning, the air in the little room was horrible. Until now, we'd been getting air from the tower below. Now that was sealed off, and so was all our food and water. We lay exhausted, panting, waiting. And the hours crawled on. I was almost dozing from fatigue when I saw a sight that brought me to fast.
Would you like to come in, my beauties? Would you? I hold the powers of life and death, and I can let you in, you know.
Auguste was standing by the glass, and in one hand he held a big wrench. He was tapping the glass gently, not quite hard enough to break it. I eased myself to my feet, and slowly, very slowly, tiptoed toward him.
All I had to do is tap just a little harder, and...
I found a coil of wire in the toolkit, and I trussed him up, fastened him to a stanchion in the center of the room. Louis was of no help. He lay on his side, looking at his bloody hand, weak and sick as a baby. So there I was, a lunatic and a coward for company. And all about, watching our little drama, the rats. The day dragged by. The supply boat wasn't due for another 12 days. I don't know what they could have done if they had come. And we had only one way of summoning them. That was to shoot off distress rockets. But the rockets were 4 floors below. And even if they'd been right there in the gallery, I couldn't have opened a window to fire them. That night, I tended the light, but its flame was devouring our oxygen. The following day, we lay thirst-tormented, starving, waiting. And the following night, I again tended the light. But the small supply of spare wicking we kept in the gallery had become exhausted. And quite suddenly, at about midnight, the light went out. There was nothing I could do. Wicks were stored 3 levels below. Nothing I could do. Nothing. From time to time, I'd strike a match to see the clock. And when I did, it lit up the million red eyes about us. All about. Watching. Waiting. Below, it had grown quiet. They'd cleaned us out, and now they, too, were waiting. All waiting. Then, the rats, quite suddenly, were silent. And then I heard it. And then I saw the sky and the stars. The rats were gone. I went to the glass. Out there on the water, a small freighter, a banana boat, showing a few lights, came softly and innocently towards us. Our light was out. They didn't know. I wanted to open the windows, to call out to them, to warn them somehow. But I was afraid. What if the rats were hiding from me, tricking me? So I waited. She grounded very softly on a reef not 200 yards from the quay. Grounded so gently that the man playing the cornet, was he a passenger, crewman, off watch, didn't even stop playing. They tried washing her back off. I could have told them to save their fuel. The tide was rising, would have floated her free. And I waited. That's all. That's the story. The sun came up, and there wasn't a rat on the whole quay. Every last one of that terrible army had left us, gone back to sea on their new ship. Auguste, insane asylum. He never recovered. And Louis, they took him into Cayenne, where he died of blood poisoning from his bite. Yes, that's the whole of it. And if you'll excuse me now, I must go set my traps. No, mouse traps. No rats in this lighthouse. I should say not. Life in the lights isn't bad. But sometimes, when I see a strange vessel approaching, I get a little nervous. Sure. Somewhere on the seas, there's a little banana boat without a crew. That is, without a human crew.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight we have presented Three Skeleton Key by George Toulouse, adapted for radio by James Poe. Featured in the cast were Elliot Reed as Jean, Bill Conrad as Louis, and Harry Bartell as Auguste. Special music was arranged and conducted by Adele Castillo. Next week.
You are standing on the deck of a ship headed on an illegal mission to Central America. Before you, holding a gun in your stomach, is a desperate man who has just given you the choice between being killed or becoming a murderer yourself.
Next week, we escape with John and Gwen Bagney's exciting tale of a murderous trio of gun runners in Central America, Maracas. Goodbye, then, until the same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Stay tuned now for Life with Luigi, which follows over most of these CBS stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ironized Yeast presents Lights Out, Everybody. It is later than you think. This is Arch Obler bringing you another in our series of stories of the unusual. And once again we caution you, these lights-out stories are definitely not for the timid soul. So we tell you calmly and very sincerely, if you frighten easily, turn off your radio now. But if you're fascinated by the mysterious, the fantastic, the unearthly, then anticipate chills in our story of Poltergeist.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, that was swell. Now let's go to town. St. Louis woman with her diamond ring, kicking that man around.
No, stop that, Kay.
What's the matter? Am I scaring the horse?
Oh, it seems like a sacrilege singing a song like that out here. This beautiful, clean snow and blue sky.
Well, what's wrong with a hot song to keep us warm? If you think the St. Louis blues is going to dirty up the snow, you ought to hear Frankie and Johnny the way I sing it.
Oh, stop it, Kay. You're not funny at all. Why can't you enjoy the fresh air without that cabaret sort of thing?
Oh, just an old-fashioned gal, eh, Florence? How about you, Edna? Don't you like my songs either? You haven't said anything for the last 5 minutes.
Well, I haven't been listening to you, to tell the truth. I love to watch the snow sort of flow along under the sleigh.
When you say that, gal, smile. Gosh, did you ever see more snow in your life?
The man at the hotel said it had been snowing on and off up here for 2 weeks.
I think coming out here to the country's the best thing we three have done since we started rooming together. Hiking in the snow's terribly healthy.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. The healthier I get, the worse I feel.
Crazy idiot.
She does say the funniest things, doesn't she? I always say that Kay ought to...
Whoa!
Hallelujah, we're here.
Is this as far as we go, driver?
That's right, miss. Can't go no further down this road account of the drift.
Oh, my goodness. The drifts are too deep for a horse. How can we walk through them?
I second the motion.
Well, you young ladies don't have to worry none so long as you keep going down the valley over there. Snow ain't piled up that way all the way to Ma Jenkins.
Oh, well, that's marvelous. Come on, girls. Let's get started.
So long. Take care of yourselves, girls.
Come on, Edna.
Goodbye, Mr. Cal. Listen to the snow talking at us.
It's very dry snow. Our feet rub particles of it together, and the friction makes a sound.
It's kind of scary, isn't it?
Why?
Oh, I don't know. It's just as if the snow was sort of trying to talk to us. I mean, as if it was angry at our trespassing.
Hey, don't tell me we're trespassing. I don't want any country squire taking any pot shots at my constitutional amendment with rock salt. No, thank you.
Oh, don't talk nonsense, Kay. We're not trespassing. Why, this path through the valley here over to Mrs. Jenkins' house is the favorite hike of everyone who comes up this way during the winter.
What's Mrs. Jenkins got anyway that makes people walk their feet off?
Wait till you taste her cooking.
Eat. Oh, boy, let's go.
It's awfully quiet out here, isn't it?
Oh, that's the glory of it. I've had the roar of the subway in my ears so long. Okay, don't walk so fast.
Come on, look what I found.
Oh, come on, Edna.
Oh, please. Let me take your arm. I'm getting out of breath.
Well, take it easy. There's no hurry. Well, what is it, Kay?
Look, through the circle of trees here. Look what I discovered.
Well, isn't that interesting? It's a sort of a natural amphitheater.
Sure. Say, who was this guy, Daniel Boone?
What's an amphitheater?
Well, that means an oval circling place with rising tiers of seats. It's, you know, like that place we went to for the horse show.
Oh.
Back in the times of the Greeks, they had outdoor theaters.
Listen to the
They
professor.
made use of places just like this, where the ground sloped up and made a sort of a natural arena or stage below.
Theater. That's an idea. Sit down, gals, and I'll give you a special performance of the K Follies.
It's awful snowy here, isn't it?
I'll trample it down with my spring dance. Welcome, sweet spring.
Isn't she a nut dancing in the snow? If I had that girl's energy.
She's really graceful, isn't she? I'll bet if she went on the stage,
Kay!
she fell.
Kay! Kay, did you hurt yourself?
Oh, did I land on my dignity? Here, give me a hand.
Here, I'll help you. There you are.
Oh, did I take a flop?
Did you hurt yourself badly?
I'll live. What in the world did I trip over? Oh, no wonder. Look at that rock under the snow. No wonder I did a nosedive. Oh,
My goodness. There are rocks like that all over. A person could break their neck if they...
Girls,
What's the matter?
What is it?
Kay, the rock you tripped over. It's not a rock.
What are you talking about? Of course it's a rock.
Well, yes, but it's something more than that. It's a tombstone.
Tombstone? Oh, no, it can't be.
Look for yourself. It says, "Here lies buried the remains of one who, restless in life..."
Stop. Don't read any more. Stop.
And all these other stones laying flat on the ground. They're tombstones, too?
Yes.
Whew, what a place to pick to dance.
What's the matter, Edna?
What did you scream for?
Kay, you danced on the grave.
What?
You danced on the grave. I saw you. I saw you do it. You danced on the grave. Okay.
Edna, stop it. Stop
Oh,
it.
what's come into her? Edna, stop acting
Edna,
like
stop,
that.
for heaven's sake. Control yourself.
Okay. Kay, I'm so sorry for you. You danced on a grave.
For heaven's sake, stop talking like that. Sure, I danced on a
Well,
grave.
yes, of course she did. It was perfectly accidental.
And what if it wasn't? What of it?
The poltergeist.
The what?
Edna Hanson, what are you talking about? What's that word you just used?
Poltergeist. Okay, what have you done?
You superstitious little fool. If you don't stop talking that way, I'm going to slap your face. What's the matter with you? I didn't do anything.
You walked on the grave. You danced on the grave.
So
Edna,
what?
be sensible. We all walked on graves, but it was purely accidental.
Yeah.
We had no intention of desecrating them.
It doesn't matter, I tell you. It doesn't matter. The poltergeist. He'll come. I know he will.
Oh, what's the use? She's crazy.
Edna, what are you talking about? What's a poltergeist? What are you so frightened about?
My father, he told me, if you walk on a grave, if you dance on a grave, the poltergeist.
Poltergeist what? What is a poltergeist?
An evil spirit. It comes out of the grave. It kills. It destroys. It'll kill us. It'll kill us all.
Stop it.
It throws things
Oh,
out.
please.
Lay off that, will you,
Edna.
But it won't get me. I'll run
Edna,
away.
come back
I'll
here.
run away.
She's gone insane. I'll get her. Edna.
Kay, catch her. Edna. Edna, don't run away. Nothing will hurt you. Nothing. Oh, Edna, look out. Kay. Kay, what happened? That stone. It hit Edna.
Edna, open your eyes.
Blood. Blood all over her face. Kay, who threw that stone? Who threw it? I don't know. It came from the graveyard.
Now, girls, take it easy. Take it easy.
Oh, Doctor, she won't die. Tell me she won't die.
No, of course not.
And you're sure that her skull isn't fractured?
Oh, absolutely not. Maybe a little concussion, that's all.
Well, it's almost 5. Our train. Can we get someone to help us carry her down to the station so we can get her on board?
Bored? I'm telling you, that little friend of yours shouldn't be moved out of bed for a week. If you do, well, it might be just too bad.
Oh, Flo, what'll we do? You go home, Kay. I'll stay with her.
Oh, no, you won't. I'm not leaving you here alone in this godforsaken place.
If you stay, I stay too. Kay, please be sensible. Why should we all lose our jobs when you
If
can
you'll
go...
excuse me, you ladies, I've got to be on my way.
Oh, yes, of course, Doctor.
Is there anything more you can do for Edna, Doctor? Any medicine or something?
Nope, I've done all I can do. She's sleeping comfortable now. Miss,
Yes, Doctor.
the constable's sick, too, you know, and he's sort of depending on me to keep things straight. Now, just how did you say that little friend of yours got hurt?
Well, it was just the way we explained, Doctor. That rock came flying and...
Yes, I know, but who threw the rock?
We don't know.
What?
That's true, Doctor. We don't know.
But somebody threw it. You can't change facts. Somebody threw the rock that cracked her head.
For heaven's sakes, old man, you don't think we did it?
No, miss,
Kay,
I
don't get
didn't.
excited. Doctor, you've got to believe us. It happened just the way we said. All at once, that rock came flying through the air from the direction of the graveyard. It struck Edna, and we just didn't see who threw it.
All right, if that's your story. Oh, you better stay in your rooms here. I mean, you better not be leaving until the constable's on his feet and has a chance to talk with you. I'll be back in a few hours and see how the girl is.
He doesn't believe us.
What difference does it make? We know what we saw.
But what did we see?
She was running. She fell.
Okay. Well, let's not fool ourselves. There was no one there to throw that rock.
There must have been.
But there wasn't.
Stop saying that.
Aren't you brave enough to face facts? There wasn't any place for anyone to hide. I saw that stone. It seemed to come down out of the air. So slowly.
Florence, if you don't stop talking like
You
that...
remember what Edna said? It throws things.
Stop looking at me like that. You're giving me the jitters.
She said the poltergeist throws things. Spirit of evil.
Florence, Rob, have you gone crazy, too?
Why should we laugh at things like that? What right have we got to laugh? How do we know there aren't powers we can't see or understand? Powers of evil that revenge an insult just like an evil man. Kay, how do we know?
What are you talking like that for? What are you trying to scare me for? You're supposed to be the most intelligent one of us all. You with your college degrees. Sure, I danced on the grave. But the dead are dead, and they can't revenge a thing. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. I tell you, it's not... What?
It's Edna.
Come on.
Edna, we're coming to you. Don't be afraid. We're coming.
Open the door, Florence. It's not locked.
Duck, it won't
Here,
do.
let me. Edna, what is it? What? Ah!
Edna, what? On your head. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Hey, what's going on here? I run a decent place, and I don't want you... Oh. The girl on the bed. Her head. It's crushed flat in by a rock. God in heaven. It's not a rock. It's a tombstone.
I wish I could cry. But I haven't got any more tears.
Oh, Edna. Edna.
Florence, darling, please. You'll kill yourself if you keep on like that. Oh, if this horrible night would only end.
It was my fault. Mine. I was the one who got her out here. She didn't want to go. She hates the country. But I made her come. I made her.
No, you're not the one to blame. I am. I danced on the grave.
But she was so good. So sweet. Oh, why does it have to be Edna? Why?
You're right. It wasn't right for it to be her, was it?
Oh, no.
I did it, not her. I did it. I danced on the grave. I danced on the grave.
You can't deny what you see with your own eyes.
But I tell you, Doc, nobody could have carried that tombstone up the steps without me seeing him, could they?
But there it is, ain't it?
Yeah. There it is.
Either somebody's playing a terrible joke or...
You don't have to say it, Doc. I know.
That's just the trouble. You don't know, and I don't know, and nobody knows.
Yeah. And that tombstone.
Well, what about the tombstone?
I ain't quite sure, but that's a tombstone out of the old burying grounds up at the bend.
You're crazy.
No, I ain't either.
Well, that place is a good 3 miles from here.
Yeah. I know.
Who could have carted a heavy stone like that for 3 miles?
Yeah. Who?
Stop looking like that, you flap-eared old fool. Human hands carried that stone in here and killed that girl?
Sure.
Yeah, the constable will find out who did it the minute he's on his feet again. You wait and see.
No, he won't, Doc. You're smarter than me and all that, but this time you're wrong. There ain't nobody that takes in breath and leaves out breath like you and me, or the constable's going to find out who killed that girl. You know that, Doc.
Oh, stop talking. I wish the constable was here and this night was over. It's been a terrible night. Terrible.
Terrible clock. Ticking. Ticking.
Yeah, I know. I've been sitting here listening to it.
I can't stand it anymore. I'll stop it.
Why bother with it?
Come on to bed, Kay. Please. There's no use sitting there. It won't help her.
Yeah. Nothing can help her. But maybe I can help you.
Me?
It was my fault. Mine. I was the reason it happened. It killed her, and it'll kill you and me, too, unless I stop.
No, don't say that.
It's true. But why should you be hurt? I'm to blame, not you. Listen, Flo. I'll go out there.
There?
Out there to the graveyard.
What?
I'll talk to it.
Kay.
I'll tell it I didn't mean to do it.
No.
That I didn't know where I was dancing.
Please.
Maybe somehow it'll hear, listen to me, and then it won't hurt you.
No, I won't let you go out there. It'll kill
But
you.
Florence...
It'll kill you, too.
But Florence...
No, I'll hold you. You can't go. You can't.
All right.
Come on to bed, Kay, please. In the morning things will be different.
But it won't.
Nothing will hurt us. And then they're right outside the door. They won't let anything get at us. Oh, please, Kay, please come to bed.
Yeah.
We'll pray.
Pray? I don't exactly know how.
Just say anything. Anything. Like this. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Now you.
If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take.
Kay? Kay, are you asleep? I can't sleep anymore. Kay, tomorrow, when it gets light and everything, do you think people will believe us? Do you think so, Kay? I'm not quite sure what happened. I always used to be so sure about things. And now Kay? Kay, where are you? Kay, where... The window. She went out the window. She's gone out there. To the graveyard. To talk to it. Oh, Kay, why did you go? Why did you go? I'll go out there, too. Oh, she'll be so frightened out there alone. I'll go, too. I'll go, too. Oh, so cold. My hands. Snow so sharp. Cutting my legs. Oh, why did you go out there, Kay? Why did you? I've got to find you. The wind. Oh, why doesn't the wind stop? Blow, blow, thou winter wind. Thou art not so unkind as... Oh, I've got to find you, kid. I've got to find you. It's snowing. I love snow. Edna didn't like snow. Where are you, Kay? Where are you? I've lost my way. I've lost the road. Where are you, Kay? Kay, where are... Oh, Kay. I heard you, Kay. I heard you. I'm coming to you, Kay. We'll talk to it. We'll talk to it together. We'll tell her we didn't mean any harm, won't we, Kay? Won't we? Poor Edna. We can't help her, Kay. We can't help Edna. But I'm coming to help you, Kay. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Here I am, Florence.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. I'm coming, darling. I'm coming to help. I'm coming to help you. I'm coming. I'm coming. I hear you. I hear you calling my name. I hear you. Yes.
Here we are, Florence. This way, Florence.
Yes.
Here we are.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. Where are you? Where are you?
This way.
No! No!
This way, Hooper. They must have come this way.
Climbing out the window like that in the middle of the night. They must have gone crazy, the both of them.
Well, let's not worry about that now. We've got to find them. Here, give me that lantern.
What is it, Doc? What have you found?
A shoe. One of the girl's shoes.
My gosh, stuck in the snow. We're going the right way.
Come on, move fast. We've got to get to them.
Doc, look at this.
What is it?
Over there. Ain't these footprints?
Yes. Yes. Yes, that's right. Footprints. Hello, up ahead. Hello.
Doc, we're getting pretty close to the old burying grounds.
Well?
Maybe. Oh, look here, Doc. Let's not be fools. Let's wait till morning.
What? Let those frightened girls freeze to death? Get along.
But, Doc,
You come with me, or the whole town will know what a yellow-livered no-good you are.
All right. All right. You don't have to get so sore, Doc.
Hello? Hello? Anybody up there? Hello?
Doc! Doc, look!
What?
There they are. Up ahead.
Glory be, they're alive. The both of them. Come on.
Doc. Doc, look at them. That's the burying ground up there. And they're dancing. Dancing on the graves.
What? They must be out of their heads. Come on. We've got to stop.
Doc! Doc, wait for me. Oh, Doc, it's dark again. Where are they, Doc? Where are the girls? Have they stopped dancing?
Yes.
Huh?
They've stopped dancing. Did they ever dance?
What are you talking about, Doc? We saw them. We saw them dancing in this place with our own eyes.
Did we? The moonlight. Here it comes again. See with your eyes again.
Oh, no.
Both of the girls froze stiff to the ground, each with her head crushed by a tombstone.
Mr. Obler, would you mind telling us, whether there actually are such things as poltergeists?
All I can tell you is this. There are authenticated records in existence that, in the city of London on the 27th day of April, 1872, from 4 in the afternoon on a Thursday until 11:30 at night, a certain room in a certain house was deluged by stones thrown from no apparent source. The London police surrounded the house, but they found no trace of whoever or whatever was throwing those stones with a murderous violence.
I see. So much for poltergeist. But what about next week?
Well, anything can happen, but specifically next week, Mungara. A strange title and a strange story. The power of suggestion. The dictators have shown us to what evil purposes that power can be used. Well, next week, a man who, but that, as usual, is next week.
Yes. Lights Out, written and directed by Arch Oboler, will come to you again next Tuesday at the same time. Be sure to listen for the amazing story of Mungara. It is later than you think.
And now, the Hall of Fantasy. Welcome to the Hall of Fantasy. Welcome to the series of radio dramas dedicated to the supernatural, the unusual, and the unknown. Come with me, my friends. We shall descend to the world of the unknown and forbidden, down to the depths where the veil of time is lifted, and the supernatural reigns as king. Come with me and listen to the tale of The Hangman's Rope.
Jim, it came from our right. We better take a look. Yeah. I hope nothing... Arnold! Huh? Look. Hanging from that tree, swinging back and forth. It's a man.
The Hall of Fantasy will present The Hangman's Rope in just a moment. And now for our story, an original tale of fantasy entitled The Hangman's Rope.
There is a legend, you know, a tale about the hangman. For 23 years, the executioner for the crown. Jack Ketch was his name, Governor. Jack Ketch.
I remember we were on our way back from the lake, Jim and Carol and I. And for some reason, we started back to the city later than usual. We hadn't been driving for more than half an hour when one of those sudden spring storms...
Now, where did that come from?
Someone said there might be a storm tonight, but I thought we'd be home before it broke. Well, we'd better put the wipers on.
We started back too late tonight.
What was it that held us up, Jim? I don't know. A lot of things. When I finally looked at my watch, I couldn't believe my eyes.
Arnold, look out. There's a man right in front of the car.
You stay here, Carol. Come on, Arnie. We'd better take a look. Yeah, right. We didn't hit him, did we? I don't think so. Now, why would someone be out in the middle of the road on a night like this? There's a lot of crazy people in this world, Arnie. He must have been one of them. Yeah, I'm getting soaked. Now, he was just about here. I can't understand. Jim, look. Where? There beside the tree. I don't see anything. I guess I was wrong. You know, for a minute I thought I saw someone hanging from that tree. Oh, you must have been mistaken. You know, I can't figure this out, Arnie. That guy was out here on the road, right in front of us. I saw him just as plain as day. But now there's no one around. Yeah. We'd better get back to the car. Yeah, that's for sure. There's no sense looking back at that tree, Arnie. There's nothing back there. I don't know. I thought I saw someone swinging there back and forth with a rope around his neck. Oh, no, you couldn't have. Maybe it was some kind of optical illusion. It could have been a shadow or a branch or anything. Yeah, that's right. Anything. Well, there's the car.
Oh, you two must like it out there in the rain.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. All the time that you were out there in the rain, the man you almost hit was talking to me.
What did you say?
You heard me.
Oh, now, sis, wait a minute. I looked back at the car a couple of times. I didn't see anyone talking to you.
Well, I don't know what's wrong with your eyes, then. I asked him if we couldn't give him a lift. And he said, no, he only had a little distance to go.
Carol, honey, this is the truth. We didn't see anyone near this car.
No. Look, I can prove it. He insisted I take this... Oh, that's strange.
What?
He was such an unusual man. Not American. He insisted that I accept a ring from him. Practically forced it on me. I put it in my pocket, and now it's gone. And in its place, there's a funny little piece of rope, shaped like a hangman's noose.
I knew Carol wasn't lying to us. I asked her if she would let me have the little piece of rope. After I dropped them off at their place, I went home, took it out, and set it on the table. I can't explain it, but there was something about that rope which seemed old. It was made of hemp, the kind of rope you would imagine Jack Ketch might have used 250 years ago when he was the hangman. That night, as I slept, my sleep was troubled. In my dreams, there was a huge black gallows. I saw a man climbing the stairs to his death. He reached the top and stood there. Standing beside him was a black-hooded man. He raised his hand and the trap door sprung open. There was a scream. And then I saw this man swinging back and forth. His face was hidden from me, yet there was something strangely familiar about him. I felt as if I knew him quite well.
We'll return to the tale of the hangman's rope in just a moment. Back now to our tale of fantasy entitled The Hangman's Rope.
When I awoke from my dream, I couldn't get back to sleep. For in the black blankness of sleep, I had come into contact with death. As the morning approached, I fell into a nervous sleep. I was awakened. Hello?
Arnie, this is Carol. Could you meet Jim and me for lunch today?
What time?
About 1?
I hope you'll forgive me if I don't sound awake, Carol. I just couldn't sleep last night.
I didn't sleep either, Arnie. I'll see you at 1.
Then I guess I wasn't the only one who missed out on sleep last night, huh?
That's right. I don't know what it was, but I had the craziest dream. When I woke up, I couldn't get back to sleep.
That's what happened to me, too.
What kind of dream was it, Carol?
Well, everything was dark and gloomy. I seemed to be watching an execution, an old-time execution, maybe 200 or 300 years old. A man walked up the steps of the gallows. Another man was there with a black hood over his head. He raised his arm. The trapdoor opened, and
the man swung back and forth, and there was something familiar about him. Isn't that right?
Yes, but how did you know?
Because my dream was the same as yours, sis. Exactly the same.
Jim's and my vacations were due the following week. We decided to spend it up at the lake, where his family had a cottage. Carol said she might be able to join us on the last weekend, but not before that. Jim and I left the following Friday night.
Well, I can certainly use this vacation. And maybe we can catch a few northerns this time, huh?
Maybe. Is your family going to come up here while we're there?
No. Carol will be up the last weekend, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I guess we'll have the place to ourselves, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, why are you stopping here?
Last Sunday night. This is where we stopped. I'm going to get out and take a look at the side of the road for a minute.
Oh, Arnie. Why don't you forget about it?
I just want to check it, that's all. That's the tree, isn't it?
I think so.
On that limb. That's where I saw him hanging.
Oh, just thinking about it makes me nervous. Come on, let's go back to the car.
All right.
Carol said that while we were out of the car, she was talking to the fellow we saw.
If that's the case, I can't understand why we didn't see him, too. You know, Jim, there just wasn't enough time for him to get away from the car without our seeing him. Unless...
Unless what?
Unless he was never there.
Oh, but that could... Arnie! Look!
On the car seat. Another little piece of rope. Before I could stop him, Jim threw the little noose out into the darkness. A little piece of rope, an inanimate thing, coiled and twisted, which somehow seemed to be alive. We reached the cottage perhaps half an hour later, and though we were both disturbed by what had happened, still it didn't interfere with our sleep. The next day, we went out fishing early, had little luck, and were on our way back to the cottage when the woman who owned the property next door stopped us.
Good morning, Mr. Stanley.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Bennett.
Out for the weekend?
Well, for the next 2 weeks. Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Bennett, this is Arnold Slade.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Slade.
Well, thank you. Same here.
You must be that young man that Carol's going to marry.
Yes, that's right.
She'll make you a fine wife, Mr. Slade. Yes. The reason I stopped you, Mr. Stanley, is this.
Mm-hmm.
There's something strange going on out here.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, the constable came by the other day and asked me if I'd seen any strangers here. A couple of people have died over on the other side of the lake. And the constable ain't been able to find out what happened.
How did these people die?
Well, that's what's so strange about it. Both of them were killed by hanging.
Hanging?
That's right. Old Mr. Taylor, who lived about a mile down by the shore, he was one of them, and he couldn't hardly walk. They found him swinging from a tree, but he was several feet off the ground, and nobody can figure out how he got up there.
What the woman had said frightened me. It seemed as if we were getting deeper and ever more deeply into something from which we would never be able to get away. That night, it was Saturday, Jim and I went out for a walk. It was a particularly dark night. The moon was obscured by clouds, and as we walked along, I could hear the chirping of many crickets, and occasionally a bullfrog's hoarse voice raised in protest.
Arnold, this thing has me worried.
In what way, Jim?
This whole thing. Last Sunday night and today when we stopped by the tree. And then what Mrs. Bennett told us.
I've been thinking about it, too.
Well, that's strange.
What?
The crickets have suddenly stopped. It's too quiet. Jim, it came from over there. We better take a look.
Yeah. It's too quiet, just as you said.
There must be something terribly wrong up here.
I hope nothing...
Arnold,
huh?
Look. Hanging from that tree, swinging back and forth. It's a man.
What are we going to do?
We better cut him down.
No. We better call the authorities first.
I guess you're right. Come on, Mrs. Bennett's got a phone. If we hurry, we may be able to get out a great deal of help to the authorities.
Jim, did you notice how high that branch was?
I saw it.
Yes? Why, Mr. Stanley, it's you.
Mrs. Bennett, may we use your phone?
Well, I suppose so. Come in.
Thanks.
Thank you.
But it's in the other room.
Thanks.
What's the matter, Mr. Slade? It looks like something's happened to upset you two.
Well, it has. It certainly has.
Constable, why, what's happened?
We were out for a walk.
Yes?
We heard a scream.
I think you'd better
We
get out
ran to
right
where
away.
the scream had come from, and
hanging from a
we
tree.
found a man hanging from a tree.
That's right, hanging.
Yes, we'll stay here at Mrs. Bennett's. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, what you're telling me the truth, young man?
That's the truth, ma'am.
Mr. Stanley, is what Mr. Slade told me the truth?
I'm afraid it is.
Oh, then no one is safe around here. I wonder who it was.
What difference does that make, Mrs. Bennett? A man's been murdered.
It makes a lot of difference, Mr. Slade. If it was Bill Roberts, then it was just like the other two. I saw him just the other day, and he said someone was playing a joke on him, that he'd been sent a little piece of rope shaped in the form of a noose.
You are listening to the tale of The Hangman's Rope on this week's journey down the corridors of the Hall of Fantasy. We'll return to our story in just a moment. And now, back to our story, entitled The Hangman's Rope.
A little piece of rope. Both Jim and I stared at each other for a moment. It might be coincidence. We knew that, but it was difficult trying to make ourselves believe that. About half an hour later, the constable arrived.
You two found him, that right, Mr. Stanley?
That's right. We were out taking a walk. We heard a scream, and then we found him.
Can't make heads nor tails out of this. 3 of them. 3 deaths in 2 weeks, all the same way. They all received a little piece of rope just before they died.
A little piece of rope?
Yeah, that's right. I say all 3. I ain't seen the body yet, but I have a pretty good idea who it is, Bill Roberts.
It's enough to make a person afraid of the dark, Constable.
Yeah, ain't it? Well, I want you two to take me to him.
I'll go, too.
No, you stay here. You stay off the phone.
Oh.
I don't want the rest of the people to hear anything about this, at least for the time being. Things are bad enough as it is. All right, come on, let's go. Now, remember what I said, Mrs. Bennett.
Don't you worry none, Constable.
I hope that woman stays off the phone. The whole county will be in an uproar if she doesn't.
Do you, have any idea who's behind these deaths?
No, I haven't.
Funny thing, he was up so high. I don't see how he could have gotten up there by himself.
I only wish I had something to work on. Well, we'll see if he's just like the others in a little while. How far away was he?
There he is, Constable.
I want to get a look at his face. Yeah. I was afraid of that.
Who is it?
Bill Roberts.
But how did he get up there?
The branch is 20 feet off the ground. It'd take an acrobat to climb that tree. Bill wasn't any acrobat.
Well, how did he get up there?
I don't know. 3 people received pieces of rope, and then a couple of weeks later, we find him hanging from a tree. You tell me the answer.
We cut him down, but it took almost an hour to get up on that branch to do it. We put him in the constable's car and drove him back to town. Before he left, we told him that we, too, had received the little gift, the noose of rope, which had been, in 3 instances, the forerunner of death. When we got back to the cottage, we had a bite to eat, and seeing as we weren't in the mood to sleep, we sat down to read. I picked up a little book I hadn't seen before and read it from cover to cover. It held an eerie fascination, and I wasn't able to put it down till the last page had been turned, the last word read. Jim? Where did you get this book?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Why?
It looks like a first edition of 200 years ago.
Well, let me see it.
Here.
A short history concerning the mysterious reappearance of Jack Ketch, a hangman who served as executioner for 23 years.
I've never seen this book before.
Well, then how did it get here?
I don't know.
Jack Ketch.
Say, he was the hangman in England who took too much pleasure in his work, isn't that right?
I think so.
How much of this did you read?
All of it. It's not very long.
And
this is what I got out of it. Before he died, the book says he had made some kind of a pact with an evil power. It seems they actually do have a written copy of that agreement somewhere in England. And there's his signature. And an illegible scrawl that no one has ever been able to decipher. The pact promises life after death for him in exchange for certain services. Then the book says that year after year some rather mysterious deaths have occurred. They find the victims hanging from the branch of a tree almost impossible to climb. And the book also says that each of the murdered people received a little piece of rope before their deaths, identical to the ones Jack Ketch used as executioner. That is the warning of death to follow.
But that's impossible. The man's been dead for over 250 years.
That's right, he's dead. But the rest of the story, it's exactly the same thing that's happening to us. 2 days later, in late evening, the rest of the story unfolded. Jim had gone down to the store to pick up some cigarettes. I'd been down to the shore doing a little fly casting and had started back up to the cottage. I was surprised at how quickly night had fallen. I wished that I'd brought along a flashlight. From somewhere across the lake, I heard the cry of a dog, and the sound of it filtered through and was carried along by the night air. For some reason, I became unaccountably nervous. I stopped walking. I felt someone was watching me. Then from the darkness of the trees, a man emerged.
Here now. Where be you going?
Well, back up to my cottage. I was doing some fly casting till night came.
Any luck?
No. I'd better be going.
No need to hurry you. Why? Nice out here, ain't it?
I suppose so.
Strange thing, you know. The little creatures, they stopped.
Little creatures?
That's right, Governor. Crickets and the frogs. They stopped talking.
Yes, they have.
You frightened me, Governor?
Of course not. What are you laughing at?
You wouldn't understand it, Governor.
Is that you down there, Mr. Slade?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Bennett.
Do you mind if I join you?
No, of course not.
Ah, good.
I'd better be going, eh, Governor? I'll see you another time.
Who are you talking to?
I don't know. He just stepped out of the darkness, and there he was.
Well, I guess he's gone now.
Yes, I guess he is.
Where's Mr. Stanley?
He went down to pick up some cigarettes. He should be back soon.
Oh, well, the constable told me to tell you that he'd be out tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Would you mind walking me back to my place, Mr. Slade? It's rather frightening out here when it's this dark.
I'll be glad to.
That man you were talking to, what did he look like?
Well, I don't know. I couldn't see his face. He had an accent. It sounded like he might have come from London.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
I can't understand it. The crickets and frogs, they've been starting and stopping all night. They must be afraid of something.
Every time they stop...
What'd you say?
Every time they stop, something happens.
Arnold, where are you?
I'm walking Mrs. Bennett back to her cottage. Anything wrong?
No. I got back from the store and I was wondering where you were. It's just that I have a strange feeling that something is going to happen.
Let's go up to our place, Mrs. Bennett. Maybe the constable will want to see you, too.
That's a good idea. Land's sakes, Mr. Slade. The strangest things have been happening out here lately.
Arnold!
We'll be right there, Jim.
Well, there's someone up here now. I thought I went...
Jim!
Something's wrong, Mr. Slade.
I don't know. Jim! What's the matter? Answer me!
Mr. Slade, look! Oh, hanging from that tree. It's Mr. Stanley.
There is a legend, you know. A pile about the hangman. For 23 years, the executioner for the crown. Jack Ketch was his name, Governor. Jack Ketch. So runs tonight's tale of the unusual, the terrifying, the unknown. Join us again when next we journey down the corridors of the Hall of Fantasy to hear another strange tale of the supernatural. All characters and events portrayed in these programs are fictional, and any similarity to actual events or persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler, written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Coben, and starring two of radio's foremost personalities, Lyle Sudrow and Robert Darnley, in Behind the Locked Door. This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as I bring you the strange and chilling stories so many of you have asked to hear again. I call it Behind the Locked Door. Our story begins in the beautiful mountain region of Lake Mead, Arizona. A convertible car is speeding along a deserted road which winds through the mountains. The car slows down, turns into a dirt road. A few minutes later, it comes to a stop before a small mountain lodge. Kathy Evans, an attractive girl in her early 20s, gets out of the car, runs up the steps of the lodge to the front door. She knocks impatiently, looking about anxiously.
Yes?
Martin,
Kathy.
I thought I'd find you here. Aren't you going to ask me?
Go away, Kathy.
Martin, what's wrong
Go
with
away.
you?
Go away.
Not until I find out what this is all about. So let me in. Are you alone?
Hello? Yes.
Darling, look at yourself. You haven't shaved in days. Martin, those deep gashes on your neck and face. How did you get them?
It doesn't matter.
Darling, you must have lost a great deal of blood. And you're feverish.
Yes, I know.
Is it true about Professor Stevens?
Yes.
Why did you leave town so suddenly last night? The authorities are looking for you.
Do they know I'm here?
No. How could they? It was intuition that brought me here.
They mustn't find me.
Martin, nothing makes sense. You returned from an expedition last night alone, unexpected. You stay in town 1 hour and then vanish. Not even phoning me.
It's best that way, believe me, Kathy.
You've got to tell me everything that's happened.
I can't, Kathy, I can't.
I'm your fiancé. I've got a right to know.
Kathy, go away, please.
I won't go away until you tell me what's happened.
If I do, then will you go?
Yes.
I don't know where to begin. I suppose if you can say it had a beginning, It was that day a little over 2 weeks ago in Professor Stevens' office.
Come in, Martin. Come in. Have a seat.
Thank you, Professor.
Martin, how would you like to go exploring with me for, say, 10 days, 2 weeks at the outside?
Exploring where?
The Vermilion Cliffs along the Colorado River. I found some wonderful Aztec pieces there last summer. One large cave I stumbled on proved to be a veritable treasure trove.
Yes, I've seen those Aztec pieces in the University Museum.
Now, the Vermilion Cliffs still remain largely unexplored. I'm sure that we could turn up many more objects of interest.
It certainly sounds intriguing. The only reason I hesitate, Professor, is because of Kathy.
Oh, I'm sure she'd give you a 2-week leave of absence.
Yes, I suppose so. How many of us would go?
Well, it would just be you, myself, and an Indian guide, and 3 burros. I find that the fewer there are on an expedition, the better.
Mm-hmm. When would we leave?
Well, what about the day after tomorrow?
All right, Professor, I'm with you. So these are the Vermilion Cliffs, Professor.
Yes. An awe-inspiring sight, aren't they?
They're as breathtaking as the Grand Canyon itself. I had no idea they towered so high.
Yes, they make you realize just how insignificant man really is.
Yeah.
Now, this region is so desolate, Martin, that it's all but unexplored. That's why I'm drawn to it time and time again.
Yes, I can understand that. It represents the challenge of the unknown.
Careful, Martin. You'll get the exploring bug.
Oh, I've already been bitten, Professor.
Well, if you're going to be an explorer and an archaeologist, I'll have to start teaching you the fundamentals of the profession. Sam, it seems like a good spot. We'll camp here for the night.
Phew. Well, it certainly is hot, Professor. Exploring isn't as easy as I thought. All right, Professor, what is it? For 20 minutes now, you've been sitting on that rock staring at that cliff.
Note the boulders strewn over the face of that cliff.
What about them?
And that's a very peculiar landslide. If you carefully study the formation of it...
What's peculiar about it?
Many of the rocks look as though they'd been placed there by human hands.
But why, and by whom?
Well, one of the ancient Aztec forms of punishment was to seal a person in a cave by means of a landslide or just piling heavy rocks in front of the mouth of the cave.
That landslide, there must be hundreds of tons of rock there.
Yes. Well, fortunately, we're prepared for it.
Is that why you brought the dynamite along?
Yes. Probably all we'll find will be a skeleton. In that case, it'll have been a waste of dynamite. However, we'll chance it. Oh, Sam.
What do you want?
Get the case of dynamite, Sam. I'm going to blast that landslide.
Professor, better leave it same way it be.
Why?
Evil spirit sleep in cave. Better not wake him up.
You really believe that?
Martin, I wouldn't laugh. Sam may be uneducated, but he senses things that you and I can't even begin to comprehend.
Now, wait a minute. You mean you believe what he said about evil being asleep in that cave?
I wouldn't say that I believe it. But nevertheless, I respect Sam's opinion. But Sam, I still want to blast that landslide.
I get dynamite.
Keep your head down, Martin. When I set that dynamite off, there are going to be a great many rocks flying around.
Don't worry, Professor. I've got cover.
Sam, you ready?
Yes, Professor.
All right. Here goes. Keep your heads down. All right. It's safe now.
Professor, I think you did it. I can see a small opening. It looks like a mouth of a cave.
Yes, it is. Sam, let me have one of the flashlights. Martin, you take the other. I'll lead the way in.
Just as you say, Professor.
The air doesn't seem too bad in here. Yes, it's all right.
Yeah, what's that noise?
Just rats scurrying around.
Oh.
Certainly a huge cavern. Look at that ceiling. Must be 200 feet high.
Look at the bats up there.
Yes, huge ones. I have a feeling that this cavern and others extend for miles underground.
Yeah, Professor, look.
Skeleton.
Yes. There's another one over there.
Yes. Let's see what else there is.
Wagon train. What?
Good Lord. Sam's right. It's a wagon train.
A wagon train?
Yes. There are at least 30 or 40 wagons in this cavern. Look. Skeletons of horses.
Yeah. Here's a skeleton with an arrow beside it.
Let me see it. Appears to be a Navajo arrow. What do you think, Sam?
Navajo. Professor, this wagon train, what's it all mean?
Well, many years ago, this wagon train was attacked by Indians. Wagon train retreated into this cavern, hoping to save themselves that way.
And then the Indians caused the landslide, sealing them in.
Yes.
Poor devils.
Look. Notice that old gun lying there.
Yeah.
The flintlock. Seems to suggest that this wagon train must be at least 100 years old.
Yeah, probably headed for the California gold rush of 1848.
Yes. Well, we'll come back tomorrow and search this wagon train thoroughly. I'm sure we'll find many things of great interest.
The next morning, after an early breakfast, Sam and I followed Professor Stevens back into the cavern. We spent the morning investigating the trunks and boxes we found on the wagons. And among the moldy clothing and 101 household articles, we found faded letters and newspapers which showed the wagon train had crossed the Mississippi in the summer of 1849, headed west for California and gold. We finished rummaging among the effects of the wagons, and the professor suggested we explore the cavern. We followed him from one cavern to another, each varying in size. Now and then the professor would stop to mark our trail, for the caverns were honeycombed with countless passageways. How far do you think we've come, Professor?
I should say we're about a mile from the wagon train. We'll go back a few more minutes.
We go back now. This place is evil.
Now, Sam, if there are ghosts here, they're only the ghosts of the people in the wagon train. They wouldn't harm us.
I tell you, evil. Feel it all around. We go back.
We'll go just a little further and turn back.
Professor, wait a minute.
What is it, Martin?
I think I hear running water.
Yes, you're right. Come along.
We seem to be getting closer.
Yes.
Evil all around us.
Can't be much further.
Well, there it is. Yeah. It's a small river. Look how swiftly it's flowing.
This probably flows for miles underground and it empties into the Colorado River.
Say, Professor, here along the bank, there's a tremendous pile of fish bones.
Yes, so there is.
Look. There are even more on the other side of the river. What do these huge piles of fish bones mean?
It's very strange.
Now, how do you account for it?
I'm afraid that at the moment I can't. Sam, you any ideas about it?
Evil all around us. Feel him strong.
Professor, he's trembling.
Sam, there's nothing to be afraid of. Look, I'll shine my flashlight around, see?
We're being watched.
Watched? What are you talking about?
Won't stay here. I go.
Sam, come back. You haven't even got a flashlight. Sam! Come on, Martin. We've got to catch him. Sam! Wait for us.
I can still hear his footsteps.
We've got to catch him. Can do himself a serious injury running in the dark like that. Sam! Wait for us. Where's Sam screaming? This way. That fool's probably broken his leg.
No, sounds more like a fight.
Fight? Who could he possibly be fighting with?
I don't know. He stopped.
Sam, where are you? Keep shining a flashlight around. Can't be much further. Sam!
There he is.
Yes.
He's just sitting against that boulder. His head down.
Sam, give me a hand with him.
God, Lord. His face. Neck.
Yes.
Who could have done this to him?
I don't know.
But there must be an explanation. There has to be.
Martin, I have a theory. But it's so incredible that I can't bring myself to voice it.
Tell me.
What do you think I'm insane?
Tell me.
What if the people of the wagon train, or rather the descendants, are alive here in these huge caverns?
That's impossible.
Why? Picture what happened the day the 150 people or so were sealed into this mountain with the Indians. What would have been the first thing they'd have done?
Try to dig their way out.
Exactly. They start digging and find there are 100-ton boulders blocking the entrance, and they have no dynamite. They're forced to give up.
Yes?
They spend days looking for another way out, fail to find one. The day comes when all their food is gone. Starvation sets in.
All right. Then that would mean they would all die.
Not necessarily. The strongest of them stumble along in the darkness and find the underground river. They catch an abundance of fish and are able to survive.
The huge fish bone piles along the river.
The river was an everlasting supply of food. They continue to live by the river in the dark. Some probably went insane, died. Others adjusted themselves to their new environment.
Professor, you think those handful of survivors had descendants who are alive today inside this mountain?
Yes, Martin. And it was one of them who clawed Sam to death.
What can those descendants be like? Being born and living in darkness.
I can only guess. I should imagine they'd be blind or near to it. But their other senses would be remarkably developed.
Their physical appearance.
I don't know.
It's not like a nightmare. It's a nightmare you can't awaken from. What's to prevent them from attacking us?
And our flashlights, for one thing. I'm sure light frightens them, just as fire frightens animals. Fortunately, I have a revolver.
Well, we better move on. Wait a minute. What about Sam?
There's nothing we can do for him now. Come along, Martin. We must find the trail I marked so that we can get out of here.
Seems we've been searching days for the markings you left.
Yes. Actually, it's been 10 hours. Listen, boy.
The river.
Yes. Come along. Once we reach the river, we'll be able to pick up the trail I marked.
Well, we're getting closer.
Yes.
There it is.
Here we are. Look, Martin, there's my marking on the passageway. We found the trail.
Yes.
Martin, 2 a.m. We'd better rest for a few hours. We're both too exhausted to go on right now. If one of us stand guard, while the other sleeps.
All right. I'll set up the first hour.
Thank you, Martin. Keep the flashlight on.
Don't worry. I will. In a matter of minutes, the professor fell asleep, and I sat on guard, flashing my light slowly around the huge cavern. I looked at my watch, and the seconds seemed like minutes, and the minutes like hours. My eyes grew heavy, and I finally dozed off. Suddenly, I awakened in the darkness to hear the professor screaming.
Martin! Help me! Turn on the flashlight!
Clanking frantically, I fumbled in the darkness, but I couldn't find it. And suddenly I was shot. By the flashes of the gun, I could see the professor struggling with a huge, dark figure. And suddenly all was quiet, except for the professor's moan. As I crawled toward him, in the darkness, my hand struck the flashlight. I turned it on, and there was the professor.
Martin, I think I'm wounded.
You're bleeding badly. Let me stanch your wounds.
Too late. Leave at once. At once.
But what about you? Professor? Professor! I felt his heart, but there was no beat. I staggered to my feet, shined my flashlight around until I found the professor's markings. I stumbled wearily along the marked passageway, trying not to remember my last glimpse of the professor's face. I hadn't gone more than 100 yards when suddenly my flashlight flickered and went out. As I stood alone in the darkness, that scampering past, I fought to keep from screaming. The darkness seemed to become heavier and more oppressive with each passing moment, and I had the feeling something was silently approaching. I backed up against the passage wall and waited, my eyes straining in the darkness, and then suddenly I was leaped upon by a wild fury. I threw my arms up as razor-like claws raked my face and neck. Again and again, the guard was savage. I was knocked aside, and I could feel the blood streaming down my face and neck. And then suddenly, the deathly clawing ceased as my attacker turned to ward off something in the dark. As I sank to my knees, I was dimly aware of a fierce fight taking place, and then consciousness left me. Later. How much later, I have no way of knowing. I became aware of a heavy, calloused hand washing my face and neck with water. I winced in pain as the water flowed into the deep cuts, and then suddenly I remembered all. And remembering all, became aware of the calloused hand washing my face and the presence of someone beside me in the darkness. Who are you? For a moment, the hand hesitated, then resumed washing my neck. Well, can't you speak? Say something. A noise came from its throat that was more that of an animal than a human being. If I could only see you. Do you have a name? It spoke. It seemed to repeat the word name, though I couldn't be sure. And faint from the loss of blood, I closed my eyes and fell asleep. When I awoke, my face and neck felt stiff and painful. It seemed to sense I was awake, for as I opened my eyes and stared into the darkness, it came to my side. Can't you understand anything at all? Don't my words make any sense to you? Why did you save my life? My hand brushed against its hand, and I could feel the sharp, claw-like fingers on it. I reached out in the darkness. As I touched its face, it bit my hand. I tried to get to my feet, but it placed a strong hand on my shoulder and held me down. At that moment, I realized that not only was it my savior, but my jailer as well. I lost all track of time. Now and then, it would leave me. And I would cautiously get to my feet to steal off, but no sooner had I taken more than a few steps than it would be there at my side, forcing me to return to the bank of the river. I spent my every waking moment trying to think of a way to escape. And then, when my despair was greatest, an idea came to me. The professor had said that the underground river I lay beside emptied into the Colorado River. Though the odds were 100 to 1 against my surviving, I knew it was the only possible way of escape. Slowly, I crawled a few remaining feet to the edge of the river and, leaning over, started to wash my face. I could sense that it was watching me. I leaned forward a few inches more and fell into the river. As I came up for air in the swift-flowing water, I heard a splash beside me. A moment later, I felt its arms around me. The current swept us along with breathtaking speed, and as we clung to each other, I discovered that it couldn't swim. For what seemed hours, the river swept us along in the darkness, and I felt myself losing consciousness as I attempted to keep the two of us above water. When I regained consciousness, Kathy, we were both lying on a sandbar in the Colorado River, and the sun was beating down on us.
Darling, you're delirious from your wound. You need a doctor.
I wish it were simple as all that.
You're feverish. You need care.
Go away, Kathy. Go away.
How can I? Leaving you alone like this?
Don't you understand? I'm not alone. She's here.
She's here?
Yes. Didn't I tell you? Turned out to be a she.
You're out of your mind. You don't know what you're saying.
First saw her. That first time. Lying unconscious on that sandbar, my first instinct was to leave her there, but how could I? She had saved my life in the cavern and then jumped into the river when she thought I was drowning, even though she couldn't swim herself.
Martin, I want you to get a grip on yourself.
As I was dependent on her in the dark, she's dependent on me in the light. She's blind. She can't speak yet. She...
Stop talking like that.
You can't believe it's true, can you, Kathy? Neither could I at first.
What are you staring at? Is there anyone in that bedroom? Well, I'll soon find out. Why is the door locked?
She's in there.
Martin, you're sick. You don't know what you're saying. I'll prove to you there's no one in that room. It's just your imagination. Give me the key to the door.
Kathy, go
Give
away.
it to me. Thank you. Perhaps when you see the room is empty, you'll be willing to return to town for medical treatment. There. I told you.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our trip? What's that, madam? You want a description of what Kathy saw when she opened that bedroom door? Well, you might ask Kathy. The only trouble is the poor girl gets hysterical when you question her about the occupant of that bedroom. I suggest you write a letter to the Museum of Horrors for a full description. They consider the Woman of the Mountain as their star exhibit because when she... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at the same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler. You may now enjoy other exciting adventures of The Mysterious Traveler in the current issue of The Mysterious Traveler magazine. In our cast, Lyle Sutro, Ann Shepard, and Robert Donnelly, with Maurice Tarplin in the title role. Phil Tarkin speaking. This program came to you from New York. Mutual's ace commentator Cecil Brown, currently on a 3-month fact-finding tour of the world, heads for the Orient on the last lap of his history-making trip. In these last weeks, Mr. Brown will bring you on-the-scene reports from such tinderbox areas as India, Hong Kong, Hawaii, Japan, and Honolulu. You won't want to miss any of the eyewitness accounts by this able commentator of the latest happenings in these headline-making spots of the world. Be sure to listen to the news reports of Cecil Brown over most of these stations. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
9:30. Do you like ice, Mr. Todd?
Ice? Thank you, Miss Watts. That's a bit...
Mrs. Watts, Mr. Todd.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. There. It gives me great pleasure to see a man drink whiskey, Mr. Todd. My late husband was partial to it.
Oh, well, lovely. Thank you, Mrs. Watts.
Do I look like a spinster?
No, not at all, no.
Well, you seem determined to make me one. I'm a widow. I have been one for 22 years.
Cheers. It's lovely whiskey.
Atlas whiskey. One of the first ever produced in Scotland. Not available in the general run-of-off licenses.
Well, I'm honored.
So, oh, this is nice. So long since I've been able to offer my whiskey. I've had that bottle for nearly a quarter of a century. Poor Alfred was the last to drink from it. He died the next day.
Oh.
Shall we discuss the matter in hand?
Rather.
They began to discuss the matter in hand, and Ronald Todd, bachelor, aged 33, of Lansdowne Private Hotel, began his journey into the land that lies beyond midnight.
Biotex, the new soak and pre-wash powder, presents Beyond Midnight by Michael McCabe.
Just soak in Biotex. Just soak in Biotex. Just soak in Biotex.
If you have wondered how to get your washing really stain-free, understand this. Biotex removes the stains and dirt washing won't.
Just soak in Biotex.
Stains, grass stains, tiresome collar and cup stains, ingrained dirt, soil and grime. Out they all come, and you don't stir a finger.
Just soak in Biotex.
Biotex with natural enzymes is the pre-wash powder with the most enzymes to give you extra pre-wash power. Absolutely no rubbing, no color loss, no fabric wear. Use it for cottons, silks, woolens, synthetics. Use it to make new again. Soaking in Biotex removes the stains and dirt, but washing won't.
Just soak in Biotex.
Yes, it has a sort of, strange, warm sort of glow. I've tasted many whiskeys.
You're a man of taste.
I hope so, Mrs. Watts. Hope so.
Are you willing to spend the night in the other room, Mr. Todd?
Mrs. Watts, can I just get one or two things straight? It's haunted?
Well, so they say.
Who say? So who says?
People.
And nobody's ever stayed there before for a night?
Oh, yes.
Oh. Then...
They stayed there. 3 stayed there. Do you remember the 6th Duke of Wallingford? Or was that before your time, Mr. Todd? You're only a young man.
The Duke of... Oh, yes. Yes, of course. There was a scandal, wasn't there? The family bribed some famous psychiatrist or something to signify that the Duke was perfectly sane. I remember. And the Duke, was as mad as a hatter all the time.
Quite. As mad as a hatter. But he was as sane a man as one could ever wish to meet, once upon a time. That was before he spent a night in the Yellow Room.
You mean the Duke?
The haunter and the haunted. Every man's history of ghosts and ghosting. Never beyond midnight. He wrote those books, Mr. Todd. The 6th Duke of Wallingford's passion was ghostly occurrences. He ate, drank, dreamt, and dreamt of the spirit world and life on other than earthly planes. He was a ghost hunter.
And he came here, to you?
He came, poor soul, to me, and stayed here in this house in the north wing in the Yellow Room. One night.
6.5 hours. And by morning light, he was mad. There were one or two others through the years. A certain Captain Edgeworth of the 4th Hussars. He was found in the spinney, 90 feet below. He had leapt through the window. Help yourself to whiskey, Mr. Todd. There were others who stayed in the room but saw nothing, because, as I believe, they were not alone. It only happens, you see, to a person who is entirely alone.
What is it that happened?
Oh, my dear Mr. Todd, if I knew the answer to that question, I should not be offering £1,000 to any man who can provide me with an answer.
I see.
No one who has experienced the terror of the room has been exactly as they entered the night before, when they've been discovered in the morning.
Mrs. Watts, I do not believe in spirits, disembodied souls, life after death. I don't believe in hauntings, the powers of darkness, or the presence of evil. Except a certain something we call evil that inhabits the minds of certain men. I'm unimpressed by the trappings of modern psychological research. I have no superstition in me, and I'm also an atheist. I wasn't always. I was brought up a Christian. 20 years, more or less, of adult life have stolen my faith away. Today, I'm a completely uncommitted man, I'm afraid.
You're afraid?
A figure of speech. I'm not afraid. I will spend a night in the Yellow Room. For £1,000, I'd spend a night anywhere.
I see.
One thing, though, if nothing happens, I'll have nothing to tell you, will I?
In that case, you will receive £100 just for your trouble. Not an unreasonable fee for 8 hours sleep, Mr. Todd.
No, but...
But I warn you, if nothing happens, don't invent. I shall know. And you will receive not a penny if you try to cheat me.
I'm an honourable man, I think.
Good. Well, having said
I wonder if you'd mind just telling me why you're so curious, Mrs. Watts. Why do you want to find...
I'm an old woman. I've lived a long and very wonderful life. Chelmsford has been in my family for over 300 years. Soon I shall die. I wish to die without one regret. If I should be taken tomorrow, I would go to my grave a disappointed woman. I would not know what malevolence is present in the Yellow Room in Chelmsford's North Wing. It's going to be a storm.
Why haven't you gone to the room? Spent a night there yourself, then?
I did not ask you to come here so that you could question me. You've come to earn, if you can, £1,000. For that, you have a job to do. After that job, I shall question you. That is all. Would Sunday suit you?
Yes, Sunday will suit me handsomely, thank you.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. I shall lock the door to the Yellow Room once you're inside and settled. It won't be opened again until 8 o'clock on Monday morning. That is a condition. It won't be opened no matter what might happen.
All right. You're the one paying the money.
The electricians never reached the North Wing with their wires and switches. Oh, how often do I curse electricity. The days of candle and lamplight were so gracious. For a night at least, you in essence return to those far-off days, Mr. Todd.
Well, it's not the fault of electricity that they've gone, you know. There's been more changes in the mere invention of electricity.
Father Doyle, don't skulk in the doorway and don't look so disapproving.
I'm not skulking. I'm still hoping to persuade Mr. Todd to change his mind. It's an unholy experiment you're indulging yourselves in.
Don't begin all that again, Father. He's free, though for 21, isn't he? What on earth is there to harm him in here?
Nothing on earth. Mr. Todd, I've come tonight as an old friend of this lady, the friend of her husband. She asked me to be present. I don't know why, unless she wanted the church's sanction for what she plans to do.
I don't plan to do anything. Stop being an old maid, Father.
What neither of you seem to appreciate is the existence of evil.
Oh, Papa,
I've seen
of course
evil.
I know
how it works. Oh, yes, even in the 20th century. The devil's abroad at all times. Now, don't smile, Mr. Todd. I ask both of you, Because I know the history of this place. To put a seal upon the door. To lock and bar this room.
Father, you seem to forget. Mrs. Watts and I have an agreement. A wager, if you like, for this one night. I don't know quite why you're here. I don't object to you, but I'd rather you didn't persuade Mrs. Watts to put seals on the door just yet. Tomorrow, all right, but there's a small question of 1,000 in cash first, and then you can do what the blazes you like. Well, shall we get on with it, Mrs. Watts? It's 10 o'clock, and I've promised myself a few chapters of Evelyn Waugh's Brideshead Revisited before a comfortable night's sleep in what seems to be a splendid antique bed.
And the sheets are aired and the pillows are softly smooth.
At least you won't even have the comfort of a window to jump from.
We had it barred, Mr. Todd, and anyway, it's far too high to reach.
Well, that's all right, Mrs. Watts. I haven't come down here to look at the view, have I? Now, lady and gentlemen, if you don't mind, this is my room for tonight, and according to Mrs. Watts here, the ghost does not walk unless the watcher is on his pod.
The room is high-beamed, the paper yellow in color, for this is the yellow room, is ancient. The design upon it is of some long-forgotten crest of some long-dead family. The shadows are deep. The light comes from 7 candles set about the room, one close by the great brass and oak bed, another on the mantel, above the head of the man who sits reading a novel, a very fine novel by Evelyn Waugh. Behind the reading man's head is another candle, and near his right elbow on the top shelf of a teak bookcase are 2 more candles. The 2 remaining, thin, brave lights in the darkness of the yellow room are on either side of the door. Absolute silence reigns. The silence of a tomb, or of a great desert when daylight appears to have deserted the world forever. Silence. The kind of silence that seems to hammer iron pegs into the mind. Silence. And then the man turns a page and yawns.
Bye-bye is time, I think.
He smiles a smile of satisfaction, in a moment spending the £1,000 on a multitude of wondrous things, and then, quite calmly, without any announcement, without any movement in the room, the candle directly behind Ronald Todd's head goes out.
I feel like a new man. It's a lovely day today.
I thought you had flu.
I took a Grandpa headache powder, and I'm worlds better.
When colds and flu are about, Grandpa headache powders are what you need. Grandpa headache powders work fast because they dissolve almost immediately. Grandpa makes all those dreadful flu symptoms disappear quickly. So, whenever you're in pain, get fast relief. Get Grandpa headache powder.
Ah, Grandpa.
Just soak in Biotex.
Stains, grass stains, collar and cuff stains, ingrained dirt, soil and grime. Out they come and you don't stir a finger.
Just soak in Biotex.
Biotex with natural enzymes is the pre-wash powder with the most enzymes to give you extra pre-wash power. Absolutely no rubbing, no color loss, no fabric wear. Soaking in Biotex removes the stains and dirt that washing won't.
Just soak in Biotex.
Father?
Thank you.
Are you quite sure you aren't hungry?
Thank you. Anyway, I'd never sleep after just one mouthful of cheese.
Well, for heaven's sake, Father Doyle, there's a kitchen full of food out there.
I don't wish for one single bite to eat. All right? Fine, then. Oh, I think our friend upstairs should be told to go home now. After what he knows of the place, and believe it or not, he's no coward, and, well, he's been up there 2 hours already.
He's not completed his bargain yet, Father.
If he's going to be afraid, he'll have been afraid by this hour.
Father, I am not paying Mr. Todd for being afraid or not being afraid. I'm paying him to sleep in the yellow room and find out what it is that's caused the death of 4 people and turned 3 more insane during the last...
4? Deaths of...
Oh, you knew perfectly well.
I knew nothing of the kind. That fellow who threw himself out of the window...
What does it matter, Father Doyle, how many people have died in the past? They're all free citizens over 21 years of age. Father Doyle, where are you going?
I think I'll go and see how Mr. Todd's faring.
You'll do nothing of the kind. Come away from that door, Father.
I don't know what it is you're doing, but I warn you. If something bad happens tonight, and there's any kind of inquiry, I shall be bound to say what I know, and to tell the authorities that knowing full well there's danger in the north wing of this house, you allowed a stranger to spend a night there.
I am allowed to do whatever I choose in my own house.
Only if it doesn't harm another person.
In this house, I have all the freedom I wish, and I...
You're not exercising freedom, it's license. Bribing that man with money.
Oh, for pity's sake, there's nothing there to harm him. It was all in the imagination with every one of those people who stayed in the yellow room. All imagination.
Then if it's all imagination, what can Mr. Todd tell you then?
What he imagines. I wonder what he's doing now. Do atheists sleep well? I suppose they must. No consciences. At least no religious consciences. I suppose Mr. Todd's fast asleep.
Well, blasted draft over there, too.
That candle was the one by the bed.
I don't need it anyway. Doesn't feel drafty, I must admit.
And then the candle on the right of the door went out. And Ronald Todd's expression of slight surprise, tinged with amusement, suddenly vanished, to be replaced with a frown of discomfort, because...
Queer?
Very. As he reached the door to light the candle again, the little light on the left side of the doorway went out. Now there were only 4 candles burning out of the original 7. The yellow room in the glow of only 4 candles is a different kettle of fish altogether. Never a pleasant room, even in daylight. At night it is malevolent. Todd crosses now to relight the candle by the great bed. He does so, just as one of those he has made glow again by the door goes out.
For pity's sake. Drafts all over the very shop. What's wrong with this room?
Just as he's coming to light the right-hand door candle again, the 2 candles on the teak bookshelf go out simultaneously.
Well, the best thing I can do is forget the whole business and go to bed.
The candle upon the mantel goes out, followed by the one on the bed, followed by the one on the right-hand side of the door, followed by the one... He's puzzled, yes, but not at all frightened. Intrigued, if anything. For a moment, all 7 candles glow again. And he stops laughing as 1, 2, 3, 4, the candles around the reading chair, the mantel, go out one after another. He begins relighting them, and both candles by the door go out, and then the one by the bed. For a moment, the room is lighted by only 2 candles. And then 3. And then 4. And then the first of the relighted ones goes out.
Huh?
And Ronald Todd realizes for the first time But there is more to this than meets the eye.
That ruddy thing went out because something wet touched it. I heard it.
Suddenly, it's completely dark. All 7 candles are out.
Oh. Oh.
Suddenly, Ronald Todd doesn't like the dark. It can't be called fear when he's not afraid of anything. But where are the matches?
Where are the blasted matches?
Right. One lighted, that'll do. But that goes out, I'll just light it again. Drafty old room.
As he gathers the remaining matches together, there are only 11 left.
Beautiful, really. Candle alone in the room. It's like the little night light Mom used to leave in my room when I was a kid. Because I was afraid. Oops. Angel bids us shine with the pure, clear light, like a burning. I wonder what Mom would have made of all this. All right. I'll play your game. There's somebody here, isn't there? Somehow someone's making these candles go out, aren't they? We're all right. Let's leave it dark for a while.
Deep, pitch, black, silent, strangely lonely. And then the silence and the darkness gets on Todd's nerves and he fumbles and lights a match. At least, he tries to light. Must be a dead match, a spent match. Try another one.
Oh, I'll try another one. Oh, better sleep then. Must have picked up all the old ones. And I fiddled around on the floor. What the? Jesus bids us shine with a pure, clear light, like a burning candle shining in the night. In this world of darkness, so we may shine. Yes. Bed. The blasted bed. Oh, no. Wait a minute. I must be running away. Wait a minute.
You'd be like this, I suppose, in the desert, at night, or anywhere come to that in complete blackness. And now, for Ronald Todd, the nightmare begins. It's pitch black. He can't find the bed. He decides to return to his chair. The chair's gone.
It's the blasted chair. Well, all right, Mrs. Watts, you won. This is silly. You built a trick room, a maze, mirrors or something. Come on, you. Ronnie lad. Now, there's an ex-Boy Scout and that. Let's just get our bearings.
And in the blackness, like a blind man, he walks. Yes, it is all right now. Someone has taken his hand.
Who's that? Who's this? Who are you? What? Who's this? Let go my hand. Come on. Go. Who are you? I can't see. Let go of my hand. Who are you? Like a little candle, brave little light. Like a little candle burning in the night. In the world of darkness, I'm a shine like a little candle. You and mine.
I say you're a nosy old devil. Saving your reverence, of course. You always were a nosy old devil. You just cloak your nosiness in a vacation to save souls. Oh, I wondered who it was at the door 7:30 in the morning. Oh, dear.
Right. Shall you open the door now, Mrs. Watts?
All right, Father Gerald. Morning, Mr. Todd. Sleep well? Like some tea?
Let me have those, woman.
Well, I mean, we might be standing there and all together.
You in your small corner, and I in mine. All right, Mum. Name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed is the fruit. I was saying it right. Stop it. Leave me alone. Let go of me. Stop it. I hate saying my prayers. I hate saying it. I hate it. I hate it. Stop it. Stop it.
Mr. Ronald Todd was committed to a home for the hopelessly insane. Father Gerald Doyle visits him twice a week. The priest carries with him a feeling of guilt he can never be rid of. Mrs. Watts died last year without ever discovering the secret of the Yellow Room. What really took place that night, I have only been able to suggest. What remains is that Ronald Todd is mad and is likely to remain so. He's forever beyond midnight.
Just soak in Biotech. Just soak in Biotech. Just soak in Biotech.
If you have wondered how to get your washing really stain-free, understand this. Biotex removes the stains and dirt washing won't.
Just soak in Biotech.
Stains, grass stains, tiresome collar and cup stains, ingrained dirt, soil and grime. Out they all come, and you don't stir a finger.
Just soak in Biotech.
Biotex with natural enzymes is the pre-wash powder with the most enzymes to give you extra pre-wash power. Absolutely no rubbing, no color loss, no fabric wear. Use it for cotton, silks, woolen, synthetics. Use it to make new again. Soaking in Biotex removes the stains and dirt, but washing won't.
Just soak in Biotech.
Beyond Midnight is presented every Friday night at 9:30 by Biotex, the new soap and pre-wash powder.